Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. Ministry of Food Production signs MOU that will ensure waste products are put to good use in the local agriculture sector. More than enough frequent patrols of traffic wardens monitoring the now familiar busy Christmas season. And TNT's High Commissioner to the UK says nations must prioritize the development of their people. Thank you for joining us. Government is seeking to protect the nation's children by any legal means necessary. On Sunday, the Office of the Prime Minister issued a statement noting that government will be establishing a child protection task force with a prime ministerial mandate to review all existing policies, legislation and protocols in place to protect the nation's children.
The Office of the Prime Minister says following several heinous crimes against the nation's children, the Honourable Kamala Prasad says the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, in seeking a comprehensive solution to all forms of crime and criminal behaviour against children, has such established a child protection task force comprising experts in child care and protection. The body will begin working immediately and will report its finding within 6 weeks. And its recommendations will be discussed at cabinet level and presented to Parliament thereafter. Implementation of the recommendations will take place through relevant ministries and state agencies, the Office of the Prime Minister states. The first meeting of the task force is scheduled for Friday, the 6th of December at 10 a.m. at the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development. The names of the members of the task force are expected to be announced upon the completion of protocols and confirmation of the acceptance by the nominees. Experts and other stakeholders will be welcomed by the task force to make presentations and discuss the various issues concerning the well-being of children. The release stated that a number of recommendations have already been made and will form part of the review of the task force. Additionally, all previous surveys and reports relative to the issue of child protection will be revisited and considered by the task force. The Prime Minister said the task force will complement the immediate and ongoing emergency response from the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa said through the Child Protection Task Force, every loophole, every gap and every grey area that must be fixed will be identified and action will be taken. She has also mandated the Child Protection Task Force to provide through recommendations on the causes and factors that are fueling such a stark breakdown in human values in some persons and families. This latest move by the government follows the brutal murder of 6-year-old Kiana Kamabaj last week and the gruesome discovery of 1-year-old Jacob Monroe's body in a cesspit the week before. On Saturday, without the media present, the Prime Minister paid a personal visit to Kiana's mother, Simone Williams, and relatives at the family's Maloney home. The Prime Minister is quoted saying that what happened to Kiana is something no child must ever have to experience. She said, quote, "I have chosen not to go the way of others and discuss who is to be blamed and who must be held liable. There are no solutions in blame, but there is in standing united as people and as a nation and saying that we will not stand for this. It is a time when we must all as citizens close ranks, united in our determination to take every possible action to protect the lives and well-being of our nation's children." End of quote. The following is what the task force is mandated to do: comprehensively review all provisions, regulations, legislation and public sector processes focused on the care, health and protection of children. Recommend how, through policy intervention and partnerships with non-governmental and community organizations, the state can reduce risk to children. Recommend on how the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago can become fully empowered, and recommend how emergency responses can be widened, accelerated and structured to immediately respond to the needs of children at risk. Felicia Wilson-Moore, News 4.
In other news, citizens can look forward to cleaner poultry shops across Trinidad and Tobago following the recent signing of a memorandum of understanding under the Ministry of Food Production. Now, this signing will also ensure that the waste products are put to good use in the local agriculture sector.
Approximately half of the chicken consumed in this country purchased by consumers are bought through pluck shops. So that is why this is really a very necessary step. As we all know, the waste from a lot of these pluck shops end up in the waterways, and when we used to have cane fields and that sort of thing, they probably still go there, but they create a great environmental hazard.
How then can this environmental and hygienic issue be solved? Well, the Ministry of Food Production intervened and hosted the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding themed greening of the poultry sector between the Livestock and Livestock Products Board and the Pluck Shop Association on Monday. The MOU will allow for the waste of pluck shops to be processed and used as feed for fishes.
Poultry feathers is 75% protein, but the biological availability of it creates a particular challenge. The process that it would go through here would make the protein more readily available. And because it is a low-density product, it would be ideal for fish food, because fish food is something that needs to float. And fish food is also very expensive. So as a part of the plant, after it is rendered and turned into a product that you could use for food, you then extrude it and use it for feeding fish.
Minister of Food Production, Senator the Honorable David Maharaj, said in about 8 months' time the project would be in full operation. Currently, Carney 1975 Limited is being engaged in talks to decide on a suitable location for the erection of a rendering plant that would be used for the processing of the feed.
Something in trial at this present time, where we have around 46 poultry pluck shops. Right now, the feathers and the waste is being collected by the borough. So that is a system that's already been initiated. Right? All we need to do is maybe change location. If the rendering plant is set up, basically all we need to do is change from one direction to the other direction, where we could be able to utilize the waste positively.
100 pluck shops are being targeted in the interim, and Minister Maharaj believes once the project gets off the ground, there will be greater buy-in.
First of all, it's an EMA issue. You can't just throw away your waste like that. And I'm sure that once the plant comes on stream, we would have a growing participation of pluck shops, because all of them want to be compliant and environmentally friendly and avoid any regulatory constraints on their business operations by the indiscriminate disposal of waste. So once this facility becomes available, and I think it's a much needed facility for the pluck shop industry, that I could see participation and even calls for more than one plant being set up throughout Trinidad. This is the first venture into this particular area, and I hope that it will be very well patronized and supported by the pluck shop operators, so that it will give us a fillip to establish others elsewhere.
It is envisaged that this project would be successful in changing the conditions under which pluck shops operate, as well as the preference given by customers to purchasing poultry from these establishments.
It is a life-saving, I just want to emphasize that, it's a life-saving document that we have signed here, putting into the pluck shop. Because for the longest while we have been tested, and in many cases we have been failing when it comes to hygiene in pluck shops. And this system that is going to be put into place would put some life back into the industry. Because when we look at the consumer and the customer rating, we realize that the trend is that people running from pluck shops because of the hygiene, because of the sanitation, right? And this year I am fully endorsing this project.
Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
When we come back, traffic wardens out in their numbers. Stay with us. Welcome back. While as citizens venture out this season to do Christmas shopping or just to be part of the festivities, they can do so with ease and peace of mind, knowing that in addition to security, there will be frequent patrols of traffic wardens monitoring the now familiar busy Christmas season. Well, just last week, a new batch of officers, 103 wardens to be exact, graduated from the second traffic warden program this year.
Trinidad and Tobago has over 700,000 vehicles, and according to the Honorable Stephen K. Dees, Minister of Transport, managing this is very difficult. The minister, who spoke of the alarming number of road fatalities in the country, noted this as chief among the reasons for government introducing the traffic warden program. Minister Cadiz shares the view of many that the traffic situation in this country has become intolerable and the time has come for something to be done about this. But he made it clear that this government was responsible, acknowledging that it is their duty to find ways to keep citizens safe and ensure law and order was upheld.
Therefore, it is the responsibility of a government to ensure that if you're going to be driving a motor car, if you are in fact going to get your license, then this responsibility comes with it. And that is where the traffic warden division comes into play, to enforce that, to ensure that people are always reminded constantly of what their responsibilities are.
Minister Cadiz told the new batch of traffic wardens that they had their work cut out for them.
So you have a huge task ahead of you to ensure that we cut that the road fatalities, that is reduced greatly, that the 30,000 accidents that are recorded every single year, that again that is reduced. The whole issue of traffic and how we and clogging the streets. I mean, I was late and I do apologize. I should have apologized first, but I took nearly an hour and a half to come from Port of Spain this afternoon. So it just goes to show that with a properly managed system, everybody benefits from that.
The Honorable Dr. Suryodrathan Rambachan, Minister of Works and Infrastructure, said more than just managing the traffic situation in the country, it's important to note that more jobs have been created for citizens.
This graduation ceremony here this evening means that there are now 282 persons attached to the traffic warden unit. These 282 new jobs did not exist before 2010. And one of the objectives of the government of Trinidad and Tobago under Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar is in fact to create sustainable jobs for our young people in the country. In fact, if you ask us what are three of our major objectives, one would be, of course, to deal with the crime situation. Second would be to create more jobs for our young people. And thirdly, of course, will be to improve the health system in the country. But high on our list and high our priority is in fact job creation. And these 282 jobs are part of 880 jobs that will be created in the traffic warden unit in the near future. In fact, Cabinet has approved 880 jobs for the traffic warden unit.
The minister advised the new traffic wardens to build a career out of their new job. Felicia Wilson-Moore, News 4.
The Ministry of Tobago Development held a tertiary level consultation with Tobago students who are attending university in Trinidad. The session was recently held at the Dagger Hall of the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus. The consultation, sponsored by the ministry, is expected to provide an opportunity for Tobagonian students at tertiary institutions to share their personal and academic concerns with the minister.
A number of queries and concerns were brought to the fore by students attending tertiary level institutions. One man said nurses and radiographers at COSTAT are having a hard time getting their stipend from the government. Additionally, in the case of the nurses, he said courses are frequently added and dropped from the degree, which delays the time students spend at the institution before graduating. To these issues, Minister of Tobago Development, the Honorable Dr. Delmon Baker, responded.
This is the first time I've been made aware of the stipend for radiography students. We will inquire from the Ministry of Health and the Minister of that one. The COSTAT nursing program, and I did interface with the program director in Tobago because I was met in the MP office by 12 to 15 nurses complaining that the program was of an indeterminate duration.
Tobago nurses studying in Trinidad also made the comment of having to wait some 3 years before they can be scooped up into the Scarborough Regional Hospital. This the minister pledged to look into on behalf of the worried students. Another student, though very grateful for the assistance given to them by the Ministry of Tobago Development as Tobago students studying in Trinidad, he is concerned that after they have earned their degrees, there is no place for proper employment in Tobago.
What plans does the ministry have for students after they come out of school? It is good that we are getting assistance during our school time to, the expenses and all of that, but there's a situation in Tobago where, employment for educated people is very hard to find.
And the discrepancies just kept coming. Students say they have had a problem with the cost of registration because it's simply too high, and having to pay the cost deprives some of them from proper daily meals due to lack of funds. Consultation moderator at the session, Wendell Moore, who is a Human Capital Development Officer, asked of the students to hold strain as the Ministry of Tobago Development work towards making lives much easier for the university students.
We are hoping that the things that we are considering now by the Ministry of Tobago Development, when they mature, when they come into being, we expect them to come into being, even all but most of them. We hope that will surely make life a little more bearable for you.
The students were also introduced to the amenities and services that the Tobago Ministry would provide to support and facilitate their studies. Reporting from Tobago, Patricia Nicholson, News 4.
When we come back, W Connection and Club Sando. Sport is next after the break. It was the most anticipated club football final in recent times when W Connection FC took on Club Sando for the Toyota Classic title on Saturday. The contest lived up to its billing, as you will see in this Wayne Cunningham report.
The top team in the National Super League, Club Sando, met TT Pro League leaders W Connection FC in the eagerly awaited final of the Toyota Classic. Why the intense anticipation, you may ask? It's because Club Sando has swept away all comers to date in the Interleague tournament, including the highly touted pro outfits like the Defence Force and Caledonia AIA, proving they have the quality to go pro next season. W Connection was the final big name to conquer. But it was demonstrated early that would be no easy task, as Hashem Arcia flashes the first shot of the match just wide of Andre Marchand's goal. The Sando keeper should have kept his eye on Arcia as he started and finished the move, which resulted in the first goal. The lanky forward picking his spot well to beat Marchand and make it 1-0 W Connection in the 11th minute. 4 minutes later, that score should have been doubled, but the normally deadly Jovan Jones wasted a perfect centre from Neil Benjamin Jr. The Savanetta boys were getting some good looks at goal, but their shooting was poor. Benjamin, the culprit on this occasion. Michael Brown, former national goalkeeper. Club Sando's first real sight at goal came late in the first half. This Kemuel Rivers free kick hitting the side netting. There were some half chances, but 1-0 W Connection would be the score at the break. Sando had the right attitude as the second half commenced. Karen Smith going just wide with a turnaround snapshot. Rivers then forced Jelani Archibald into a fine reflex save. W Connection responded to the pressure in the most appropriate fashion.
The sign up on the video.
with a clinical move and finish. Jamal Williams with a rocket which keeps Marchand rooted to the penalty area, 2-0 in the 79th minute. Club Sando did not cave in after that though. They had Archibald busy in the connection goal. But there will be no epic comeback for the faithful Sando fans. W Connection FC taking the Classic by a score of 2-0. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
News 4 continues right after this. Stay with us. Trinidad and Tobago's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom says nations must prioritize the development of their people. He made the call at a special Christmas function which he hosted recently.
Trinidad and Tobago's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, His Excellency Galvin Nicholas, made a call for nations to make the development of their people a priority, regardless of politics or the whims of individuals. The High Commissioner was at the time addressing those in attendance at a special diplomatic Christmas reception which he hosted on Saturday at the High Commissioner's residence. The audience comprised of members of the diaspora, business community, and various members of the diplomatic corps representing every continent, including Secretary General of the Commonwealth, His Excellency Kamlesh Sharma. Guests were given a sample of an authentic Trinbagonian Christmas as the High Commissioner continued his drive towards enhanced cultural diplomacy. He thanked his colleagues in the diplomatic community for having been extremely helpful whenever he had to call upon them for assistance, as well as those on the Board of Governors in the Commonwealth for having been truly outstanding as they overcame the many challenges in moving the Commonwealth forward. The High Commissioner expressed that it was his Christmas wish that nations, whether rich or poor, understand that the resources provided by Mother Nature are meant to be for the good of all. As he closed, the High Commissioner noted that as we approach 2014 and beyond, poverty eradication, literacy, healthcare, women's rights and climate change remained pressing concerns. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.